This morning, I invite you to listen to stories. We've already heard a few, even in the music. I've always been profoundly moved by the way Jesus treated people, and I'm equally as moved by a God who's created such variety on planet Earth. I watched the series Pose, and I saw reflections of God. Please pray with me. Dear God, thank you for making each of us so creatively and uniquely special. We are all so different from one another, but somehow we also reflect you. Give us ears to hear you in the stories of others. In Jesus' name, amen. Take a step back in time with me, just for a bit. In 1987, I was 20 and a student at an Adventist college, an occupational therapy turned social work major with dreams of becoming a marriage and family therapist one day. I no longer lived in either of these two houses in Connecticut where I was raised. Outside of my bubble, other things were happening. Aretha Franklin was the first woman inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Typhoon Nina devastated the Philippines. Our nation celebrated the 200th anniversary of the U.S. Constitution, and Prozac made its debut. Jessica McClure fell down a well in Midland, Texas, and was later rescued. The Unabomber set off 2 bombs in Salt Lake City. President Reagan acknowledged that his overtures to Iran had deteriorated into an arms for hostages deal. And finally, in Charlotte, North Carolina, televangelist Jim Baker resigned after admitting to an affair with church secretary Jessica Hahn. That was news I was aware of. However, unbeknownst to me, an underground subculture referred to as house ball community and other similar names was thriving in New York City. That is the setting for season 1 of the FX series Pose, created by Ryan Murphy in 2018. The series looks at the juxtaposition of several segments of life and society in New York: the rise of the luxury universe, the downtown social and literary scene, and the ball culture world. Let's watch this clip from season 1, episode 1, in which Blanca invites Damon to join her house.
Would you learn how to dance like that? What's your name?
Damon.
A pleasure. I'm Blanca. So, how does someone as talented as you wind up dancing for a whole bunch of junkies? You want to be a professional dancer, right?
I want to be a star.
Don't we all, honey? You ever consider joining a house?
What do you mean?
Well, a house is the family you get to choose. I'm a house mother. I provide a support system for my children and housing if you need it. Together we compete in the balls of town. And I've been looking to adopt a child with your dancing abilities.
I mean, I have bigger dreams of performing at some ball. I came here to perform in a real dance company. I'm not like you, I'm sorry. My dreams are real.
Oh, so you think your dreams are more real than mine?
So what exactly is a ball?
Balls are a gathering of people who are not welcome to gather anywhere else. A celebration of a life that the rest of the world does not deem worthy of celebration. There are categories. People dress up for them. Walk. There's voting, trophies.
Oh, can you make money?
Better than money. You can actually make a name for yourself by winning a trophy or two. And in our community, the glory of your name is everything.
Blanca said, "A house is a family you get to choose." When I first heard that, I thought of that phrase, "Friends are family we choose ourselves." But as I continued to watch, it was clear this went deeper. Watch this next clip of Blanca when she had just arrived on the ball scene and met Electra, the woman who would be her mother before she eventually left and formed her own house.
Can I be honest with you? I don't think I'll ever be as real as you. No one questions you or looks at you like they do me. But I do want to be seen and respected as a woman. That's who I see myself to be.
You think I just woke up one day and poof, I look like this? No, it takes work, drive, sacrifice to be a woman. You have something rarer than beauty, though. You have heart, and you're not afraid to lead with it. That quality will get you everything. Now, what is it you want, my child?
I don't want to be cold again. And I don't want to be laughed at again. I want to be real.
You're coming home with Mother. Check, please.
Wait, you want to be my mother?
No. I am your mother.
Both Blanca and her house son Damon had left or been kicked out of their Christian, Puerto Rican, and Black homes. The house families in the houseball community took the place of their birth families. My friend Sel is an educator, and I've asked them to share a little bit about what they've learned about houseball communities, which still exist today.
Pose is based on what is known as the ball community or the house ball community, which started in Harlem in the 1920s and is still going on today. I was able to conduct research for a number of years on the ball community in New York City because I was studying HIV risk among trans feminine people in that city. I found the ball community to be really inspiring, very interesting, and motivating in many different ways.
Social creativity is one key aspect of the ball community. The ball community utilizes social creativity in many different forms and ways. So, for example, the ball community started in 1920s in Harlem by young gay men and trans feminine spectrum people who had been kicked out of their families for being gay and trans. And they formed alternative families called houses. Another aspect of the ball community is what is known as thick trust. And this is a type of social capital that is considered a bonding capital, where there is a lot of emphasis on people sharing with each other, creating emotional trust with each other, really being in each other's lives. And so there's a foundation of trust and understanding that undergirds the ball community. So resiliency is another core aspect of the ball community. And researchers have really seen a lot of resiliency in the ball community, which I would define as not only a strength, but a flexible strength, an ability to really bounce back from hardships that one encounters in life. So researchers have seen that a lot of ball members develop a lot of resiliency and overcome or bounce back an immense array of hardships that they face in their lives. And something that researchers are really interested in is how to bolster the resiliency that's already in the ball community to create an even higher quality of life for people in the ball community.
So to summarize, social creativity, big trust, and resiliency are three main aspects of the ball community. It's really interesting with Pose as a series to see the ball community represented in this series. And for the most part, I would say that it is accurate. It's also really interesting that we have this series that is now run over multiple seasons in which the main characters are low-income gay and trans people of color. And this is something we don't usually see in the media.
Thanks, Sel. I want to comment on the effect of AIDS on this community. They had very little to no access to good health care, and that becomes a significant focus of season 2, set in 1990, as the characters start attending more AIDS fundraisers and funerals. The characters in Pose were lucky to have found a friend in Nurse Judy, a rarity in the cold and harsh environment of unfunded charitable health care. When Pray Tell and Blanca went to pay respects and to remember their friend Keenan, the woman who greeted them at the gravesite was less than welcoming. It was clear that Keenan was just another number to her. My friend Andrea has this to say about advocacy and access to healthcare.
Hello, my name is Andrea. I'm from Europe, from Germany, and I consider myself to be a very flexible European person. The TV series Pose is for me very important and a real heartwarming project. I'm glad Kirsten told me about it. Since ever then, I never stopped watching it. And it relates to my working life. I work since 25 years as a nurse, as a lecturer, and as an advocate in patient care. And I still love my job. I think it's a wonderful job to be fortunate to listen to patient stories, how they feel treated from hospital staff or in hospital environment. I believe that working as an advocate is like a heartwarming project, like in Pose. And I felt very early on it's important to be there for patients who belong to the LGBT community or who suffer from HIV. I remember 25 years ago, it was not so easy for this patient. I remember the first transgender person coming for surgery. People were mean and people didn't accept it. People didn't accept the HIV patient. And many things since then have changed, and I'm very happy about it. Since 2011, I work as an advocate and lecturer and give a clear message out that it is important that we tell our patients that we create a safe space in hospital and in the hospital environment, that we educate our nurses and doctors and our nursing students that we need to be there and create safe spaces. I think Pose sets a very important and clear message for us today, and I will continue to watch it.
Social creativity, thick trust, and resiliency are what carried members of this community through so much of what they faced on a daily basis. I'd like to share with you 2 more clips from Pose, back to back, both reflecting these important values. The first clip shows Pretel encouraging Blanca and her adopted children after they didn't win a ball competition, reminding them of why they were there. The second clip shows Damon telling his house family, who'd grown by 1 more, that he got into dance school.
You want a reason to keep going on after tonight? There you go, right there. Houses are homes to all the little boys and girls who never had one. And they keep coming every day, just as sure as the sun rises. Pull up. Work harder. Triumph. If not today, maybe tomorrow.
I'd be dead if it weren't for you. Another day in the park and I would have went with anybody for some food, done anything. Got in.
Did I not tell you he was gonna get in?
I saw so very much as I went through the series, as I went through my own research, and as I talked to my friends. I invited some of those friends today so that you hear more than my cisgender straight voice. I don't have enough time to go through all that I learned. I've placed plenty of resources for you to take a look at yourself, if you'd like to, after this worship service or sometime in the future. The listing for those resources is at the end of this worship service and is also posted on our Facebook post with all the announcements. I'm going to expound on a few here. A friend of mine, who some of you might know, Deneen Akers, wrote a book designed for families called Holy Troublemakers and Unconventional Saints. It's a great book, even if your kids are adults by now. It's really designed to help expose kids to all kinds of inspiring people, not all of whom may fit your idea of what God's followers look like. One of those stories that resonated deeply with me is that of a female pastor named Kate Christensen Martin, whose view of mothering is an action. Between this book and watching Blanca and even her friend Pray Tell, I saw this expanded vision of mother. So I'd like to take a few minutes to read with you a portion of the part in the book about Kate. So sit back and listen as I read a page or so. Kate Christensen Martin is a pastor with a powerful vision of how mothering will save the world. Most of us hear the word mother and picture a woman holding a child. But when Kate talks of being a mother and mothering, she includes everyone. She believes in the incredible love mothers have for their children, but she also uses mothering as a verb, like running or singing. Mothering is an action. Mothering is the act of nurturing someone else and fiercely protecting that person's core essence so that person can flourish. With that definition of motherhood, anyone of any gender can be a mother. In fact, Kate likes to point out that Jesus, whom Christians believe is the best example we have of what God is really like, acted as a mother. Jesus touched those who were sick and hurting. He took time to stop whatever he was doing to listen to people, especially people who had been overlooked or even rejected by their own families and religious leaders. He taught that God cared most about how we treated each other. And at times, Jesus was a mama bear looking out for those the culture of his day wanted to hurt. Jesus was a man who mothered the world, Kate often says. Well, I hope you enjoyed that and pick up a copy for yourself and read the rest. The book is great. You know, as a mother of my own transgender daughter, Eowyn, talking with her about her future desire to be a mother to someone one day, watching Blanca and reading about Kate has created space for Eowyn and I to envision that future. So, on to one more resource. I ran into this wonderful article by someone, it's called The Theology of Evangelista, and it's written by a research fellow at Potsdam University, a Chinese gentleman named Zhairong Zhang. He wrote that Pose could have chosen to focus on the hatred in the world from political and religious communities that drove this community together. He wrote that Pose instead adopted, perhaps surprisingly, the language of Christian theology. Blanca named her house House of Evangelista. Now, all houses seem to come up with names. That was hers. Blanca evangelized faith and the improvement of living conditions for her community. And then there's hope. Pose does not try to win cheap sympathy by showing the pain of others as spectacle. Queer and trans people of color are not merely victims of discrimination and repression. They are protagonists of the story whose struggles are fought not only with dignity but with glamour. At the end of season 1, Blanca wins the coveted Mother of the Year trophy in the ballroom. Pray Tell describes her qualities in theological language. Blanca has saved many a soul lost in darkness. Simply by shining her light, I know that this is true because that is how she saved mine. That light is love, and it's spelled charity. And now abideth faith, hope, charity, these three. But the greatest of these is charity. 1 Corinthians 13:13. We believe in a God who time and again chose people, ordinary people, but also people from the dregs of society, to do extraordinary things. Jesus gathered a group together, a house of sorts, the disciples. In creating that group, he passed over the elite, aristocratic, and influential men of the day to those who had less respect and value in the eyes of their fellow humans. But I'd like to stop talking for a few minutes. My friends Leslie and Alex also watched the series Pose. And for them, it was a different experience than I. It really resonated with their own lived experience. I want you to take a listen to what's important to them and their needs, how they feel about God and community. And right after that, we're going to watch the last clip from Pose, in which Blanca goes to her mother's funeral. She experiences reactions from her birth family and from her adopted house family and her friend Pray Tell.
Pose was a revelation for me. Not a massive epiphany, but a quiet, beautiful dawning of something special. It became a time machine that allowed me to see my elders, the Black and brown queer folks who came before. I felt like the show gave me a chance to sit at the feet of so many that we lost to AIDS, including members of my own family. There is a beautiful holiness in each episode, from the intensity of the balls to the gathering of chosen family, all this creativity and love woven together. In ways that I will never fully have words for, I felt more whole, as if I had found a part of myself, a part of my lineage I hadn't realized existed before. This, to me, is the deep holy magic that is found through art, and I'm so incredibly grateful for all the minds that work together to make Pose a reality.
I genuinely appreciate the idea that family is the people who are there for you, not just blood relations. That means also because even though my parents are supportive and they've been there for me, my extended family hasn't always been there. And that has not been the most helpful in terms of my own mental health. I definitely know, like, some of my uncles, they used to say things that were deeply hurtful, thinking that it was helping, and that is without even me being out to them. And that can do a lot of damage to your psyche, and without even realizing it, how much I was internalizing what other people who were supposed to be there for me said. And it is hard to find your place in the world where you don't see yourself reflected in the idea of the world. I didn't think there was any place for me anywhere. I was this quirky, nerdy, non-binary child who didn't even have the words to say what that was, and I was always told what I was wrong. I was always told what I liked was wrong. And it wasn't until I found the people who actually told me it's okay to be you, and it's okay to be flamboyant and outspoken and proud of something you're always told to be ashamed of, that I truly found myself. And I definitely appreciate that. And I think having something like Pose is definitely something that I wish younger me had. And I appreciate that other people have it now. But I also appreciate that I also have found my own place in real life, not just on television and in terms of representation, but people who make me feel that sense of belonging that I never had before. It's my friends, it's people in this very church. And I think mostly when it comes to religion, I think we often forget the idea of loving your neighbor and being there for them. And particularly when it comes to queer and LGBT folks, the church hasn't been the best of places. And I think we need to kind of reevaluate what it means to be Christian and what it means to truly love one another and what it means to be in the family of God.
It's good. It's good, sweetie.
I can't believe Mateo grew up to be a transvestite. Pobrecito needs a better wig.
A child lost her mother today, and I would expect someone who espouses the word of the Lord to have a little bit more compassion. She's not defined by that wig on her head any more than you are by that frizzy perm.
I couldn't have done it. I would have been too scared. You maintain your dignity, and I'm proud of you.
It's okay. It's okay. It's all right. Let it out.
Yo, I can call my homeboy to jump whoever you want for like a Benjamin. I'm for real.
No, we good. We all good.
Mateo.
My name is Blanca now.
Blanca. There's a gathering at your mother's after the wake. You should come. Have some food.
Well, that was a lot to hear, wasn't it? There were a lot of people with a lot of responses in that last pose clip. Who is it that you think reflected God in their response to Blanca? The time in which she said goodbye to her mother. Imagine who it is that you want to be to reflect God's love to in your community, in your church, in your neighborhood, at work, in your family. Who is it that God calls you to be?